afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's True Snacks webinar, Citrin Cooperman's weekly half-hour lunchtime series on snack-sized insights for your business. My name is Steve Ronan, the leader for Citrin Cooperman's consulting and outsourcing practices, and I'd like to thank you for joining today for our Building a Leading Class Budgeting and Cash Forecasting Approach session. Today's presenter is going to be Kieran Higgins. Kieran is a manager in our outsourcing practice who specializes in FP&A, including budgeting, forecasting, and analytics. And we are really looking forward to sharing our perspective on this important topic with you. A couple of housekeeping items before we start. We will collect questions and answers as we go throughout the session, and we will reserve time at the end. So if you have questions as Kieran's going through his content, feel free to just shoot those into the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom window, and we will hold those until the end and facilitate a discussion around them. The other thing is that we will be doing a drawing during today's session for a really fantastic basket of snacks from one of our local vendors. So if you're on the call right now, you will be in that drawing, and we'll announce the winner at the end. And our marketing team will reach out to that person afterwards to get the shipping information. So without further ado, I'd love to hand it over to Kieran to talk about today's topic. Once again, welcome, and we look forward to the discussion today. Kieran, over to you.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for the intro. I'm just going to go to the next slide real quick. You'll see a picture of me, but you can see me now. My hair is a little bit different due to COVID. It's harder to get haircuts around here, but thanks again for everyone joining. Thanks for the intro, Steve. I'm hoping we have some really good content that you'll enjoy. And just want to move right into this during your snack time and head to the next slide. So this is why we're all here, right? Cash forecasting is important, and doing it well is hard. It's very challenging to have timely information. The proper use of cash forecasting and revised budgeting strengthens your decision-making processes, identifies potential shortfalls, cash needs, and provides you with the opportunity to proactively manage potential issues. And the consequences of an inaccurate forecast can be severe. So in order to avoid a potential liquidity crisis within your organization, it's important to train management on the importance of budgeting and forecasting, as well as the mechanics of the process. Your cash flow forecast should be a detailed look at your company's position relative to its inflows and outflows. For instance, how much money will you be bringing in over a period of time in question, and from what source? This isn't a measure of your company's capacity to produce products or services, but rather what will be collected in payment for goods and services, and what period of time are you going to be looking at it? So I'm going to lead us to the next slide, which we're going to show you how we do it from our end. So, as I mentioned, COVID, my haircut, there's so much uncertainty in the world. So we need to shift our financial focus onto what is in front of us while being cognizant and always learning from the past and being efficient and effective as possible. I know we've learned a lot over the last 6 or 7 months about our businesses, and we've really had to buckle in and, hammer down. And the importance of strengthening your numbers probably isn't unfamiliar to many of you on this call. And, it's going to continue to be especially true as you look at budgeting and cash forecasting moving forward. We need to take all of these challenges we have faced and create a mechanism to strengthen our planning behaviors to ensure long-term sustainability and continued success in these times. We work with our clients to clarify decision-making responsibilities all the time, apply process discipline, and leverage technological solutions that are scalable and feasible for your organization. So how do we do this? What's our approach? Can you continue to thrive without disruption and produce accurate forecasts? Do you have the tech solutions? Do you need the tech solutions? Well, first, let's take a couple steps back at the building blocks behind your numbers and what are they telling you? This may be a bit more holistic to begin rather than looking at your financial statements, internal liquidity, credit obligations, and putting some numbers in an Excel spreadsheet. Or even worse, choosing to buy a software solution without knowing it's right for you. So my approach is fairly simple. And, beginning with situation assessment, what is the budget or cash forecast best suited for you in this particular situation? Is it going to be multiple types of forecasts, short-term versus long-term, multiple scenarios like base, best, worst? What's the market telling us? Is it bull or bear? What's COVID telling us? What are the restrictions telling us? What are these variables that we need to solve for? A long-term forecasting approach allows for future strategic planning, but it is also opens you up to greater variability over time, as we know. Short-term cash forecasting may provide that daily size of information accuracy from your upcoming cash positions that you need during these times. So for starters, well, not starters, second, let's organize and prioritize. We help our clients select the scenario or scenarios that are going to work best for them, given the situation, and prioritize that scenario or situation. And how do we do that? Well, we gather information. I'm not going to go into full detail and ask you all send me your historical accounting data today. But we all know it's a pretty good starting point. But, question for that, if you were to run your general ledger, and take a look at your financials, how accurate is that data as your starting point in the situation? You need to also consider other things, benchmarking indications, sales trends, your lag in collections, and understand your historical receipts and disbursements. So you take those three and you add in focus and execution. Apply process discipline. We talked about technology a couple of times, but is there a solution that can help me, help you? Is there a tech solution out there? And am I going to select the right one without some assistance? Well, let's talk about how this works in real life. So I'm going to talk about a real life client example here. And don't worry, this is one of my client references. So if you ever need to fact check me, yeah, you can. But all kidding aside, this was a pretty unique situation. And many of you have found yourselves in similar situations through staff leaving or succession planning or things like that. But long story short, a client of mine was in a bind. The CFO and controller were both leaving the organization very quickly to take jobs that would require them to stop the involvement in the company almost immediately. There really wasn't going to be much handoff time. They had to divest and walk away from their interests because they were taking a governmental position. This client, they didn't have a necessarily huge accountant department or folks with a lot of institutional knowledge of the debits and credits, forecasts, or financial planning just hanging around. The leaders of the organization, while very sophisticated, they came from mainly clinical backgrounds. And one of the big kickers is they had just committed a ton of capital to onboarding several new large clients with very, very high technological configuration costs that were complicated. So they were committed to spending capital, and the folks that helped them build what the liquidity forecasts were now walking out the door. So what happened next? We stepped in and as quickly as possible to help them bridge the gap while the board and C-suite conducted a national search for the CFO replacement. We immediately helped ease the mind of the boards by quickly building a 13-week rolling cash forecast to get an immediate understanding of the organization's cash position now or at that time and for the next quarter. At the same time, we also stepped in, it was near year end, so year end planning and budgeting forecasting. We stepped in the upcoming to help kick off the upcoming year's budget with the assumption that there would be a replacement to the CFO and controller in a few weeks or so. So 3 months later, it's December 1st and they still had no CFO. But doing all the work that we were able to do on ground and help them think through their issues from a financial planning and analytics approach. What they did have is an upcoming budget that we help build and implement down to the specific cost center with approval of all 20 department heads, the C-suite, and the board. We applied the elements we talked about in our approach and moved pretty swiftly. And, we had some help along the way throughout the process. We leveraged the technology of some of the robust tools that were able to, at the same time, onboard and use, namely Oracle Hyperion, which is a financial planning analytics tool, which tied in nicely to their general ledger that was in place, NetSuite. And I know there's not a one size fits all for everyone, but in this particular case study, we helped our clients stay the course while applying the methodologies we have developed and leveraging technology solutions that we felt were right for them at the same time. The CFO was then shortly thereafter, I helped onboard him towards year end and the beginning of the next year and handed off the ship to him. And they've been sailing smooth every step of the way. Still a big client of mine. And, it's something, the situation, as I mentioned, it's unique, but I think it's something that it's a mechanism that, especially given COVID, we've seen develop time and time again. And we've been able to apply our fundamentals to help organizations bridge the gap in this situation. So technology has come across several times on the webinar. And, there are plenty of tools and solutions that are robust. Plenty in the market. We've worked, with our clients on a lot of them. But the key is to operationalize your budget and cash forecasting by using good tech that fits your solution. There are different solutions with slightly different approaches. There are solutions for industries, different types of industries, the details that you need to look at. A healthcare company is not necessarily going to need the same tool as a manufacturing company. So when we're helping our clients, we think it's important to take a very deliberate approach in selecting these tools that works best for them in that situation and weighing that against possible solutions in the marketplace. And I'm going to walk quickly through, a couple of these examples that you see on the page here, that are some pretty cool outputs on solutions that we use regularly to help for budgeting, cash forecasting, and key performance indicators. This is the cash flow report that we've built that links through a general ledger. It also comes in a nice management package that we report out to our clients either monthly, quarterly, or whatever best suits their needs. It takes you through the operating cash flow, free cash flow, and net cash flow, and has some very cool graphics that jumps off the page. So if finance isn't your strong suit, but you run a cost center and you need to understand where you are, the numbers, this is a great solution for you to just be able to take a look at, on the fly. Again, a solution with very good graphics that ties, as I mentioned, into the general ledger that's giving you a breakdown of your revenue expenses. We build our budgets into this solution, and then we can run it against revenue, expenses, forecasts, and do different variance analysis. And then it gives you top 10. We can look at other things, top 10 expenses or whatever you want, whatever situation for this particular client, looking at top 10 expenses, or you could look at top 10 customers or service breakdown, things like that. And the main topic of discussion here, cash flow and cash forecasting and budgeting. This is a really great look at a really great organization look at a high level of your operating cash flow, free cash flow, net cash flow, and your cash on hand. So it's a pretty dynamic report and approach that helps management, make these decisions. And they're on the ground level trying to do what's best for the organization, having clear and concise financial information at their fingertips is super important. So with all this being said, how can Citrin Cooperman, how can we help? When clients come to us for advice on better budgeting and cash forecasting, and if they're looking for advice on capabilities or tech solutions, we can help them in three different ways. We can help them from a strategic advisory standpoint and guide them on what to do. All right. We can also help them with a short-term solution that provides both, an advisory and outsource solution, but sets you up for long-term success. And then finally, the last one is we can actually be the extension of your finance or accounting department, as well as, as an outsourced solution in financial planning and analysis. And that is where my group, as Steve, kicked off the call, where we specialize in. We have a function of all three of these, as either a managed solution, tactical short-term solution, or just advising you on the process. So all three of these are a menu of our solutions that we can help in this situation. So Q&A.
So Kieran, can you talk a little bit about how we look at the difference between the kind of ERP and spreadsheet enabled solution for ongoing forecasting capabilities versus sort of a more mature enterprise performance management solution? How should companies kind of weigh the pros and cons between those two options?
Thanks, Steve. That's a great question. It's, you don't want to overcommit, capital to a solution that, might not be best for you in that given situation. So you're going to want to, as Steve, weighing the pros and cons is very important, whether it's a price, if it's functionality or interoperability is going to give you what you need. And, there are layers of solutions that you can layer in over top of a very large ERP solution, and other app add-ins or things so it could be a combination of several. It could be a major system that, brings in all of the solutions you're taking into consideration, and combines them. But the approach, as I've mentioned a couple of times, it's not a one size fits all. We investigate what's going to be right for your vertical, and what other apps or tech solutions we need to layer in on top of the ones you already have, or maybe recommending new ones for long-term success.
And I mean, is it fair to say that if a company wants to mature in this area, that there's going to be some technology enablement that's required?
100%. It's, keeping up with the times, and, especially giving all of the risk out there in the world and the unknowns. Tech is going to be your best friend, helping you stay ahead of the curve, keeping the numbers in front of you. There are many tech solutions that help you do that, and they flow right into your workflows, and they're, very helpful in operationalizing your budgets and forecasts, and being able to, keep your hand on the pulse, and to move things forward smoothly. So, big fan of these tech solutions. We've been working with them for a long, long time now. And, we find the ones that work for our clients in the given situations.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, I mean, this is one of those areas where there does start to be a pretty strong bifurcation between companies that are still running a QuickBooks-like solution or a Xero-like solution, or companies that are running like the case study that you mentioned, right, where they're on NetSuite or a somewhat more all-inclusive sort of ERP system. For the folks that are on, the QuickBooks and the smaller business systems, what kind of guidance would you give them for technology enablement around cash forecasting?
So we have QuickBooks, either QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop. We have a lot of add-ins there that really support, that work very smoothly. And I'd be happy, and I could see there's a question out there. I'd be happy to discuss that more offline, of the different types of solutions we have. We have from scenario planning, cash forecasting, budgeting, to intuitive KPI tools, management reporting, and to CRM or maybe enhanced invoicing for folks that really need to get job costing down to a very specific metric.
I think, actually, if we could go back a couple of slides, I think some of the sample reports that you put up are actually generated out of QuickBooks, though, aren't they? Isn't that from?
Correct.
It is, right. Okay, good. So, right, and this is our solution, our QuickBooks plugins, forecasting and reporting solution.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. So this is actually this is a very clean, lightweight reporting solution for QuickBooks users. Basically, you plug this tool into QuickBooks. we set up our KPIs. If you go back a couple of slides, Corinne, you can see some of the KPIs that get set up in the visualizations. A lot of this is standard by industry, so it's a faster start, which we know for the QuickBooks clients we work with, the speed of which we can start is, you know, really important. You don't want to have a four to 6 month build, right? This one, I remember that Kieran actually set this up for the client that this is based on, and it took a couple of weeks. I think we were up and running, right?
Yep.
Yeah. The other question that comes up a lot here, Kieran, is, you know, we don't have a forecasting solution in place today. We are trying to, you know, we're piecing it together on spreadsheets right now, but want to move towards something that's more automated, like what we're looking at. What are some of the risks that I'm going to run into, or you know, potential problems that I might run into related to my current accounting systems that I want to pay some attention to before I really like dove in feet first to this cash forecasting solution?
Well, you know, I take a look at operability. You know, who's going to be using it? How are they going to be using it from your team? Are they going to be capable of using it? And, you know, looking at price points also, you know, for organizations is very important. You know, you don't want to commit to a very pricey software with a high implementation without knowing it's going to suit your needs. So you want to do some study, some investigation on the solution first before you just go all in. And we help organizations that were already along in the process, had committed to a solution, but really just couldn't get it to work for them. And, you know, we'll come in a lot of times and really help onboard that solution that they've had for 5, 6, 7 months and build in the proper workflows, because it's about changing people's habits. Tech solutions, great. You know, they help tremendously, but there is also the human dynamic in these tech solutions. You know, someone has to press the buttons, right? So, you know, we see it widespread, and, you know, we can sort of help in the beginning, in the middle, and the end, and help you really grow dynamically with the tool, either while you have it, pre-selection, or even if you're just considering it.
Yeah, and I think I think those are all really good points. The other two things that probably are worth mentioning is the structure of the data. The financial data is really important, right? So a lot of the blended KPI metrics around cash flow forecasting, and also to be able to do your trend analysis at the right level, right, is important. So if the data in the GL is too high level, the chart of accounts isn't at a low enough level of detail, maybe the transactions aren't getting entered fast enough, right? I think those are typically some challenges that we run into.
Exactly. And, you know, a lot of what our group, you know, my team specifically on the advisory, you know, will come in as a full-on outsourced solution and really put the rigor around a strong close. So you know your chart of accounts, you have a good financial close. We take a look at your chart of account structure and make sure it is, the mechanics behind the scenes are working that are, you know, best suited for your industry or your organization. So, you know, Steve, I think they're great points. You know, there's a lot of different complications out there when it comes to just systems in general, ERPs, or, you know, just the debits and credits in general. So, you know, we try to take a hands-on approach and assess each situation uniquely, and, you know, apply the best practices that we've picked up over the years doing this with our clients, and share it with our clients and new clients.
Yeah, that's great. That's great, Kieran. Thank you. So could we just go back and put Kieran's contact information up on the screen, Corinne? So Kieran, really appreciate the time that you put into putting this presentation together today. I think what we've seen over the last 9 months is all of a sudden, after we got through PPP, cash forecasting kind of became the most important thing that everyone was looking at, right? Yep. So this is really helpful. Appreciate it. If folks have any questions on the content that we talked about today, Kieran's email address is up on the screen, and please take that down and reach out to him directly. Always happy to have a conversation, to do any brainstorming with you or raise any clarifications. These are intended to be short, concise webinars. A lot of this content gets tailored for different companies, different ways. And we're always happy. Kieran is happy, and the rest of our team's always happy to have a discussion on it. So please feel free to reach out with any further questions. Now visualize a drum roll in your mind. We did our drawing for the snack basket behind the scenes, and Frank Fu from Dominion Electric Supply is the winner of our snack basket today. So Frank, congratulations. Hope you enjoy those goodies, and somebody from our marketing team will be in touch with you to get shipping information. Really, thanks for joining today. Next week, we've got another great, relevant, again, highly relevant session lined up for you, all about managing technology in this remote work environment. So please join us and Sean Williams, the director in our IT practice, next week to talk about that. If you weren't on the distribution list for this meeting, please feel free to register on our website, either through our main site or on our TruSnacks webinar. Once again, I want to thank everybody for joining today. It was great speaking with you, and we hope everybody has a great rest of your week. Thanks again.
Thank you, everybody.